has been so remarkable that the decision to give him the award was predictably unanimous. Ron heard of the plight of a young girl of 9 who was dying and needed a compatible donor for a lung replacement in order to survive. Ron volunteered and was found to be a perfect match. He selflessly and at enormous personal risk and sacrifice, without seeking or accepting any kind of reward, financial or otherwise, donated part of his lung so as to give another human being, one that he didn't know and had never met, the chance to live. Ron's sacrifice, his compassion, and his willingness to make this priceless gift in order to try and help another human being shows, I believe, the extent to which generosity and commitment still remain qualities which thrive amongst us. It's with pleasure and no small sense of humility that I am handing to you, Ron, wherever you are, I can't see you, the Minerva Jewish Care Award for the Millennium Year. You demonstrate, in my view, a clear vision of what we all could perhaps regard as being a kind of yardstick of one person's commitment to his or her fellow human beings. So again, let me say to you that it is my unqualified privilege to hand you the award, and if you could come up here, Ron. I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. Where's the award? I should have said if you could come closer, Ron. And let me say to you, as I said, that it's my unqualified privilege to hand you this award and to express our gratitude to you for this wonderful example which you have set to all of us here. Congratulations. Well done. Fantastic.
Excuse me. I wonder if any of you remember teenage acne. It's, if you can remember that far back, and I just about can, it's the divine retribution for impure thoughts about your history teacher. And the main thing about that is that it's teenage acne. It tends to, on the evening of your big dance, on your first date, whoosh, up it comes. Well, I must be the oldest teenager in the world, because this morning I woke up and there was a light flashing in the bedroom like a Belisha beacon. I thought, what's going on? And I looked in the mirror and there it is, whoosh. Zit. So it just shows what you've done to me today. If I was a mine, I certainly wouldn't need a Davy lamp this morning. So if any of you speak to me, don't mention the zit. I'd asked many friends for advice about this speech, and as usual, you ask 10 friends, you get 10 different views. Be short, be gracious, keep it upbeat, don't be negative, don't cry and thank the world and its sister, you've not won an Oscar. And I thought I'd follow that advice, and the best thing I could do was use the words that I used the last time I spoke in front of an audience of about 400 people. 7 and 4, 74, all the files. I'm glad you like that one, because that was, I paid a lot of money to Jackie Mason for that one. When I'm embarrassed, I tell awful jokes. My wife, Denise down there, will tell you she thinks I'm embarrassed pretty much all the time. At first, I didn't believe the call I received from Sasha at Jewish Care. I had to sit down as my legs got all wobbly, just as they're doing now. And I thought about politely declining for about 2 seconds till I heard that it would mean lunch at the Savoy. And then, to add to that, I heard that I was going to be warm-up man for Mr. Haig, so I thought I couldn't resist. And I'd worked out on my calendar, if I spoke here today, in about 20 years I could be elected the leader of Jewish Care. I'm going to speak to the UN next week. This week Jewish Care, tomorrow the world. Many people ask me if my lung still hurts. Well, it only hurts if the weather's cold, or it hurts again when I laugh. So I'm intending to emigrate to Israel and take Bernard Manning with me. A gentleman in our village was looking for a driver. He'd suffered a brain hemorrhage and lost his driving licence. And I volunteered, and I found myself driving on a daily basis into Waltham Abbey from Northampton and into London. And during my lunch breaks on those trips, I would get sandwiches from Tesco's and picked up the London Jewish News. Well, it was free. So. Are they here? It's a good paper, it really is. One week, there was a photograph of a small Israeli girl and a plea from her father for financial assistance for a life-saving operation for his little girl. She'd suffered from cystic fibrosis all her short life, and her only hope now was a groundbreaking lung transplant in America. Excuse me. I wasn't in the position of being able to send money, but Lisa's blood group was mentioned in the article, and it turned out to be the same as mine. I telephoned the London Jewish News, who put me in touch with Ilya Ostrovsky and Lisa's father, and you probably know the rest of the story. Coincidentally enough, the operation took place a year ago this Saturday in St. Louis in America, but sadly after about 5 weeks of fighting very bravely, Lisa died just a few minutes into the new year when the rest of the world was celebrating. We had the call at just after 10 past midnight. And it says, keep positive here. Lisa's family have become a part of my family. Their friends have become my friends. And I've met so many lovely people on the 3 occasions I've been lucky enough now to visit Israel. This summer I received another email from the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation of Israel. A second child, this time a 14-year-old boy, had to undergo the same operation. And another $800,000 had been raised from generous donors such as yourselves here today. As you can imagine, I was on tenterhooks for a while through the summer months, waiting for news from the States. I couldn't be a donor this time, I hadn't got enough left. But I needn't have worried, because the operation that Lisa and her parents had the courage to go through had given the surgeons such a wealth of experience that enabled a successful double transplant this time round. And the lad and the lung donors are presently recovering very well. In fact, I think one has already gone back to Israel. We are at the stage kidney donations were at about 20, 30 years ago. Little known procedures producing some heartbreaks. yet they're advancing all the time towards the ultimate goal of enabling a good and healthy life. Excuse me. And to be a small part in that advance has been a great honour for me, and this award today is the icing on that cake. I thank the judges and Jewish Care for making me feel so proud, and all you kind folk for supporting their good work today. And I would ask you to never, never forget the Lisas of this world. Thank you.